How you guys doing? I hope everything's going well. I've had some downtime, of course, where I have to just sit around. It's very frustrating, but definitely don't want to push the envelope as I continue to recover from my surgery. I'm about 95%, probably going back to work on Monday, but I'm just now that I'm in my 50s. I've had this surgery a couple times because I have recurrent polyps in my maxillary sinus. I just I feel like I'm a veteran to this. It's being a veteran is of this is no fun. But I can only do like so much stuff at a time, where it's basically have to go back and just sit down and do nothing, which is very frustrating for me because I'm a very ADHD person. I'm very spastic, and just sitting there trying to force yourself to just not do anything and relax and let your body heal is difficult for me. But it's a smart thing, so thankfully, being a veteran to this procedure, I'm just kind of like, I'm not listening to my inner demons, and I'm just kind of relaxing, and I guess I'm just doing some inner thought, because even when I'm not hobbying, it's hard not to think about this hobby because it's so awesome. So one of my major thoughts on this hobby was my own personal journey. So when I got in, I've always wanted to get into the miniature wargaming, and then being in the military, and then just real life, and then being intimidated by the fact that I am not artistic compared to when you look at when you're looking at videos and magazines and pictures of people's miniature wargamings miniatures. I'm like, holy cow, I can't do that. And then if you want to go out and just buy models that someone else painted because you're worried about your own lack of skill, that's a heck of an investment. It should be. I mean, the models themselves are pretty pricey, especially if you look at Games Workshop stuff, and then paying for someone else that painted them is like, they deserve that money. So it's a big financial investment. So if you're new in the hobby and you're not pouring out cash out of your rear end, and you want to play mass battles, there's a barrier. And then having the time to paint if you're going to paint. So it can be, you can go out and buy all the miniature boxes and then just kind of stare at them and go, this is impossible. And then you end up maybe selling them all on eBay, or just putting them in a box, or you donate them to some person like me or something like that, just because you're like, I won't do it, so maybe someone else will do it. But it's more important that we continue, in my opinion, to get people into this hobby, and keep new people in it, and grow it. And I hopefully, I think it is. I mean, I'm not the most experienced miniature wargaming. I tried to get into it in about, I think, 2011, and failed. Painted 3 miniatures, and I was like, oh, I can't do this. And I tried again in 2013, and same thing, failed miserably. Failure to launch. And it wasn't until 2015, 16, I started getting a little bit of traction. And then over the pandemic, I really kind of right before the pandemic, I really kind of got really nutso into it. And then just the last 2-3 years, I've blossomed. I think I'm peaking, if that's possible. Which, I won't even make fun of myself anymore. I do it enough already. But my peak is nowhere near someone else's. We'll just leave it at that. So just knowing the struggles of how intimidating it can be to get into this hobby, and then the financial impact, the time impact, the putting yourself out there impact if you're going to do battle reports and stuff like that. It's kind of like, ooh, and then finding someone else that shares your love of it, to have a partner if you're not going to do solo wargaming, and then working around both your schedules, or going to that's a lot. So the gist of this, basically this little story, or I guess it is, whatever you want to call it, is is using, let's say you want to get to mass battles, is using skirmish war set rules a fabulous adjunct to what, one, get in the hobby, and two, is it okay to use them to continue to build on and go from a small skirmish game to a bigger skirmish game to bigger until the fact that you're at the mass battles. I'm sure people have thought of this before I have, but it's kind of like, I just kind of thought of it the other day, and I was like, holy cow, when I did Napoleonics, I just wanted to do mass battles. That was it. And I didn't, I was like, I'm not playing any kind of skirmish game. I'm not doing sharp practice. I'm not doing muskets and tomahawks. I'm not doing, anything skirmishy. Because I'm just I just want to do mass battles, so screw that. And then I was painting Napoleonics, and then, I have to wait a long period of time of painting to play, and that can be dangerous. You could start painting and you just never get to the point where you can have a game. And that's, when I finally got to play my first game of black powder, it was awesome, but it took a long time to get there. And if you don't have that, if something comes up in your life or something happens, you'll never get there. You just end up with like a giant crate of unpainted or halfway painted or partially painted troops, and you're done, and your hobby venture is over, because you never really got to that part of the game. If you're not really into if you're not just like a scale modeler, and you just enjoy painting, setting up a diorama, drooling over it, maybe putting in a glass case or taking some pictures and sharing that's one thing. Or turn around and sell it if you want to do it for financial reasons. But if you actually literally want to play, and you want to play mass battles, it was for me. It was a hell of a voyage that I'm blessed the fact that I got that far. So knowing that now, and then also wanting to play different time periods, I was like, because I wanted to play Hail Caesar. Let's just look at that for an example. So now I've already painted a ton of Napoleonics. I know what's involved in that. I'm like, oh gosh, I can't even begin to it basically put that off right away, because I'd love to line up tons of medieval troops and go to town on each other with swords and stuff. So I think that the fact that I was able to play Infamy, I was able to play Lion Rampant, and then for other time periods of black powder, I also have my American Civil War stuff. I was able to play sharp practice. What were the other games I played? Oh my gosh, I'm having a mind blank. 1 second, please. Rebels and Patriots and Men Who Would Be Kings. Other games like that. And then on the medieval stuff, doing Infamy, I played Oathmark. I also played Lion Rampant and Dragon Rampant. I will continue to play these games, but I was able to paint fewer models, and I was able to get a game going, so I got that satisfaction of playing and having a blast with it. So that's instantly, once you play a system and you love it, you'll paint more of it, and it kind of softens the blow of moving towards that mass battle that was your ultimate goal. Sorry, it took me a long time to actually get to that. I don't have a script as usual. I'm a big script writer. It was time for a different view, just to think of so you don't get bored looking at the same picture over and over again. I wouldn't either. Just kind of drool looking at these things. I haven't cleaned up yet from the last game of General Darmay. I gotta say it right. I've got some people who've actually helped me pronunciate French and Dutch and everything. So I appreciate everybody's help. Um, so that is that's I'm a big. I didn't want to play skirmish games when I started, but after playing Too Fat Lardy games and playing Lion Rampant, one, it was an unexpected surprise, and there's tons of rule sets out there, but you can have a blast while you continue to paint, and you can use these skirmish games to help build your mass battles, and it'll just make your hobby that much more fantastic, because there's so many different historical war sets and rule sets out there for different time periods. I really don't think you can ever get bored of this, and I sure as heck can't. I just want to paint more and more, and I want to play more and more, and I'm trying to just keep myself under control and sticking to a couple fixed themes, basically. So, I've got my Napoleonic, I've got my ACW. I do have my bolt action and chain of command stuff, my Russian and German stuff. And now I've got my knights for my little fantasy world I've created. And I'm sure I'm missing some. Of course, I have BattleTech too, but that's just I'm always going to love that because that's one of the first things I ever played. But I've grown, and from where I started off saying I'm never going to play a skirmish game, that was an idiotic statement of me, because one, I was missing out on a massive chunk of the hobby, and two, I didn't realize that I could actually use it to my advantage to keep up the motivation to get to this kind of stupid stuff, which is, ridiculous. And then this is just infinitely expandable, because you can there's no real limit to mass battles. You could say, hey, my table's only 6x4 or 4x4, but there's always reinforcements, man. I use my little map of my little whiteboard over there. I always wanted to put everything on the table and play. And oops, sorry, I've lost my little gimbal here. Don't get seasick. Get some Dramamine for this video. But the fact that I was able to bring on troops later on in the battle was just a whole nother thing I hadn't experienced and got to enjoy. It was really cool doing in General d'Armée. There's you've got your tactical movement, then you've got your reinforcement movement for just you can get that extra detail of the game and just enjoy it. So enough of that. So this is I just wanted to say, hey, don't say never to skirmish games, because one, they're awesome, and two, you can use them as a stepping stone to get to mass battles. If anyone's thought of that already, I'm sorry. Actually, no, I can go into more detail here. So, sorry about this. Basing is a big thing. You got two choices. I single based a lot. For a lot of these skirmish basing, there's a lot of figure removal. So you can single base these guys, or you can use casualty markers on a 4 base or a 6 base and just kind of mark your guys. So there's a lot of options. You don't have to, but it's good to know and good to have a plan when you're moving towards a goal. I'm going to do this. I'm going to follow this exact mechanism when I get into my Japanese stuff at some point later this year. Start off, everything's going to be single base. I don't mind moving a lot of troops on single bases, but a lot of people find that, especially if you have an opponent, that could be irritating and you have a time limit. So they have, of course, movement trays are phenomenal. There's a lot of options out there for movement trays. And then you can also, or you can just base your guys on 4 or 6 of base or 8 of base, or some of these guys, some of you guys just take basing your guys to a whole nother form of of the hobby, which is amazing. I've seen more detailed bases that I have on my actual figures myself from many of you guys, and it's amazing. It's just like it's another. Every base is a piece of art. Even people the whole debate about basing vehicles and stuff, but it's kind of like, wow, it's there's two camps, the non and the basers, but the one people that do base their vehicles, you can really see some really neat stuff on there. You're either using mud or tufts or whatever. I'm dead bodies down there. You can see all kinds of stuff that it's really neat, and I enjoy the heck out of it. So the big takeaways from this are one, of course, don't turn your back on skirmish games. There's a million of them out there. Two, stay open to anything, and there's plenty of ways to get to the end. And the big thing is, all of us want to keep everybody in the hobby. All of us want everybody out there producing material to watch online, because YouTube is phenomenal, because it's basically free, and it's great watching other members of the hobby who are all over the world doing the same thing. And like this morning, I watched the end of Dom Boots on the Tables, his General Day Army game with Jonathan, who's probably, if you've never seen Dom and Jonathan play a game together, it's like the most polite thing in the world. If everybody in the world could be that polite to each other, it would be a better place. But watching that game, I was able to pick up several things that I'd screwed up in my General Day Army games. And I'm ready to play again now, because I'm like, oh crap, I did that wrong. And then watching Scott Driscoll's stuff from Check Your Leader TV, same thing. And then you can just, I think every time you play, or every time you watch a game, you can learn something. So it's good to have people playing the same systems you are, so you can learn and you can teach somebody, and you can put a game out that's better and better and better. And I don't want to play the game perfectly, but I want it to be recognizable, and I don't want to put stuff out there that's going to lead people astray because I screwed up so many rules. But definitely when I play my first game, I'm going to mess up. But I always try to point out and say, hey, this is my first time. I'm looking for help. So there's nothing wrong with that too, because it's great getting feedback from people in the community. So that's all I got. This was just going to be a quick one. It was just that epiphany from sitting around. Still got some facial swelling, but my nose is working great. The swelling is basically irritating my facial nerve, so it kind of shoots that little laser beam up the right side of your face and irritates your ear. And so, doing my anti-inflammatories and doing my ice every so often, and I'm trying not to go nuts. I went nuts yesterday. I have grapevines in my backyard. It's just a hobby. I make wine, but I've not drank my wine. I've done it for 4 or 5 years, maybe longer. And I'm probably making pesticide, but it's just something fun for me to do, and I enjoy that part of it. And so I went out there and was working on my vines and pulling weeds and doing all kinds of stuff, and I thought I was invincible yesterday, and I came back inside and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm hurting. So I got to learn to relax a little bit. So I'm sitting around now being a slug, and just was watching some battle reports. I just painted some stuff. I'm taking a break for just a moment. I'm painting some of my medieval guys. I'm adding in archers and crossbowmen, and I've got some footmen to paint as I'm moving towards this. The whole point of this hobby is, the whole point of this video is taking my infamy, Lion Rampant, Oathmark armies, and I'm moving into that 2nd edition Hail Caesar now that I have enough to form, I think, 3 divisions of troops. So that was the goal all along, and maybe it took 4 years to get here, but I've done it, and thankfully the Warlord Games just released that second edition of Hail Caesar not too long ago. Not a huge change, but it's kind of I wanted to try it out, and it looks fun. It looks quick. It looks that's it. And that's really what it's going to look pretty. So there's the goal. That'll be I still have to. Once I get a couple of these guys, I'll get my mojo back. I'll start. I've been painting back and forth between medieval guys and Napoleonics, and I'll go back into finishing up my last British battalion, hopefully ever. I've got enough British. Love you guys, but just taking a little break, and I need to do Prussians, Austrians, and Russians. And I'm going to pre-apologize for me saying Prussians and Russians and getting them superimposed for from now on. As long as I'm in this hobby, I'm going to screw that up. It's almost going to be as bad as Italian battalion in my brain. But yeah, but I digress. I'm rambling. So that's my specialty too. So don't turn your back on skirmish games. They're phenomenal. They're fun. And there's tons of rules that's out there. I've only scratched the surface on a few, but a little bit of searching online and a little bit of I think the Plastic Crack podcast had their last podcast had to do with like underutilized rule sets and stuff like that. So that really kind of got me thinking about it. And I love that stuff because when you just sit around and read the chat in there and listen to the guys talk, you can learn about all these rule sets that you never heard of, and you can at a minimum you can watch some battle reports and support other guys in the hobby, and maybe give them a couple pennies as they try to just. Then they can buy a couple soldiers and keep their stuff going. And two, you can you get some free entertainment, and then maybe you buy the rule set too to do some reading, and support the people that are actually making material in the hobby. And then if you like it, you can buy the miniatures and support someone else in the hobby, and then you can also enjoy it and have fun. And if you got a game group and your friends or whatever, you can get into it and start playing and have a hell of a time. So that's it. I hope wherever you are, you guys are doing great. Time for more ice on my face. I've talked too much. And it's the Kentucky Derbies today. So have fun, watch that, and then hopefully it's not too much of a wet track. It looks like it's here. It's nice and green, but it's been rain. This whole week is rain. But it should be nice. Enjoy the race. Have fun, keep on painting, have a great weekend, and we'll see you soon. All right, guys, take care.